All right, ladies and gents, we're going to be talking about the Vision Quest today. The Vision Quest. Many moons ago, there was a great movie with Matthew. What's his last name? Why can't I not recall his last name? It'll come to me. Actually, I'm gonna look it up while I'm talking. And
Matthew McConaughey.
no. Um, Broderick. No, not Broderick. Ah, he was in Full Metal Jacket, and then he did this movie called Vision Quest, and it was about a high school wrestler that had this goal in front of him. Matthew Modine. My bad, Matthew. Matthew Modine, and the movie was about when you have a goal in front of you that seems impossible, that seems beyond your reach, and the mindset that you have to have, and then the work that goes behind fulfilling that outcome. If you've never seen the movie, it's a good watch. It's worth watching because it really deals with that particular theme and it really hits it home. But I wanted us to kind of dive in, and I wanted to do something specific that everybody can benefit from. So if there's anybody that's on tonight's call that has a specific, there's one thing that you really want to create success in or advance in or do better with, if there's just one thing that's burning a hole in your engine because you got to have it, you got to get it done, you got to fulfill it, achieve it, whatever it is. If it's in the fitness realm, if it's in your career realm, if it's in your income realm, if it's in your business realm, whatever it is that you're possessed and obsessed with, if you would just type it in the chat, that one thing that you really want to fulfill, that you want to achieve. Maybe it's something you can do this year. Maybe it's something that's going to take you 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. But it's something that is at the top of mind for you. So type it in the chat. Okay. Got it. Children, fitness coach, coaching 100 women. What are you coaching them in, Kimberly? Coaching 100 women to run the 100-yard dash. Oh, personal development. Okay. All right, good. Focus more. Okay, got it. So Javari, can you talk?
Yes.
Okay, great. So no, wait. I'm gonna make sure I read the right person. Javari Weston, becoming a fitness coach.
Hey, yeah, I'm here.
Are you able to talk?
Oh, yeah, I can talk for a little second.
All right, like I'm just gonna ask you questions and then you can, I know you're at work, so I'll try to be as efficient as I can. Let's start with you. The type of fitness coach that you want to be, are you gonna be a nutritionist as well?
Did you say a nutritionist?
Yeah, are you gonna coach your clients on what to eat and how to eat as well as helping them to get fit?
Yes, yeah, I would like to help people, with diet plans and just also plans like for the gym and just exercising.
Okay, diet plans and nutrition. Is that something that you have been a student in?
It's something I've studied on my own. I haven't like gone to school for it or anything, but it's something I've just like studied just online, done research for. So yeah, that way.
Okay, great. So if we use this, ladies and gentlemen, as a starting point, so the Vision Quest is to be a fitness coach. What that means is Javari is going to be working with clients in fitness and diet and nutrition, and they're going to be connected. Because I heard this quote, it's really good. I'm probably going to mess it up. You cannot outwork the kitchen. You can't outwork the kitchen, and you yeah, see, I told you I was gonna mess it up. Basically, he was saying, like, you can work out as much as you want, but if you're putting the wrong things in your body, you can't outwork that. You just can't. Eventually, what you're putting in your body is gonna catch up with you. But I'll get the quote because I want to make sure I get that. So that's the outcome for Javari. Now, let me ask you a question. How many pages did you study today on nutrition and diet plans?
Today, none.
Okay.
I haven't studied.
And in terms of the fitness coaching, how many individuals did you reach out to today regarding your services?
Today, none.
Okay. So the first thing we have to do, ladies and gents, is we have to get clear on our commitment to our vision quest. And the reason we call it a vision quest is because it's something that you're pursuing. It's something that's in front of you. And so everything that you're doing is moving in that direction. All of your thoughts, your energy, your intention is moving toward the fulfillment of that quest. And if it's not at the forefront of your mind, you're going to have days like Javari right now, where as of this moment, he hasn't put any time in regarding promoting his services as a fitness coach or studying diet and nutrition, because diet and nutrition is a rabbit hole, okay? And that rabbit hole is endless. Hey, Blake, you're talking too loud. The rabbit hole is endless. And so there's always something more that you can learn as it pertains to your mastery in that arena. And I understand everybody's bodies are different, but there are certain core principles and there are certain things that are in alignment with what people are doing to get into shape that he can be learning every day. All right. So the first thing is making sure that your vision quest is something that you are possessed by and obsessed with. Okay. That's number one. Number two, Javari, can you tell me how many clients you would like to work with in terms of your outcome?
Guess I don't have an exact number, but honestly, I want to help just as many people as I like possibly can. I don't really have an exact number on that because I'm not sure how many people I can help at once. But
okay, so if you could think of a number, what would it be?
Honestly, I'm just gonna go out there and say hundreds because like I feel like
You said
if I come up with a
100?
fitness like hundreds, if I come up like with a fitness program or something, honestly, like even thousands, if I can come up with a fitness program that help people like coach people online and
Give
stuff.
me a specific number right now.
Okay. I'm just gonna say 1,000.
How many clients do you have right now?
None.
Okay. So when you all are crafting your specific outcome, it's important to create wins for yourself along the way. And 1,000 clients is fine. That can be an outcome for sure. I think it's important to have something that like a target that you can hit on the way to that. So perhaps 1,000 clients could be what we would call a mid-range goal. So it's not a short-term goal, it's more of a mid-range. It may be a long-term goal. It just depends on how much time, energy, and effort Javari is going to put into it. So let's say, Javari, you have an initial goal of 10 clients, okay?
Yeah.
Because if you can get 10, you can get 20. If you can get 20, you can get 40. If you can get 40, you can get 80, et cetera, et cetera. But we got to have a starting point that is extremely doable right now in real time. The second thing is, how do you picture yourself as a fitness coach? When you look in the mirror and when people look at you, are you clear on the image that you want them to see?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Good. Do you have pictures of that outcome and of that imagery? Do you have that hanging up in your home where you could see it every day?
I don't.
Okay, so that's another aspect of it. You see, ladies and gentlemen, we understand that words and images with repetition make an imprint and an impact. And so if Javari's walking through his home and he's seeing first thing in the morning, last thing before he goes to bed at night, the image that he wants to project to his clientele and prospective clients, what does that do? It creates a subconscious level of accountability that he's continuing to do the things in order to create that image from his own body in terms of how he's sculpting, how he's crafting, how he's eating, all of that. He's got a constant reminder. And even at work, he's got it on his screensaver, on his phone. He's got note cards that he has on his desk, so he can, when he's looking at his desk, looking down while he's working, he can see that. He has constant reminders of that outcome. Why is that important? Because he has to be able to have that focus on that specific outcome. He's got to know what that's going to look like. So that's another tool that he can utilize in his vision quest. What's the conversation that you have with yourself, Javari, when you are envisioning doing what it is that you want to do?
Just me telling myself that I can do this and that I know it's possible and that I know I'm meant for this.
And why is it important that you do this work?
Because fitness is a passion of mine, and I just love helping people, and helping people transform their lives for the better is just something really important to me.
And what happens if you actually have success with a client?
Well, they say a client, and they possibly even tell other people's, and I can get even more clients.
Yeah, that's the growth aspect. But what happens to that individual that you have a successful outcome with? How can you impact their life?
Oh, I can just help their lives by making them live a healthier life. They can teach others, whether they're a parent, they teach their kids how to live a healthy lifestyle, or it just helps them feel better about themselves, mentally, physically.
And what's the opposite of that? What's the opposite of someone who doesn't have access to your training and your knowledge and nutrition, who needs it, but they don't have access to it? What's the worst case scenario for someone in that situation?
They don't live a healthy lifestyle. They don't really take care of themselves because they don't know what direction to go into.
Yes, and what does that look like? Give me some examples of what an unhealthy lifestyle can lead to.
Obesity, bad mental health, eating unhealthy, and etc.
Obesity, mental health, and poor eating habits. Is there any link between depression and obesity?
Yes.
So we can say depression. Are
Yes.
there a large number of obese old people in our population?
Yes.
I'm going to ask you that question again. Is there a large proportion of obese people in our elderly population?
Oh, no, not really in our elderly, no.
Why?
I'm guessing they just took better care of themselves back then than we are now. Less technology and
no, but I'm asking you, why are there not a large percentage of obese people that are elderly?
They didn't live long? I'm
Exactly.
guessing. Yeah.
Mortality rate. You don't,
Yeah.
you're not going to see a lot of obese people that are elders because they don't live that long. So there's mortality. So you have obesity, mental health deficit, poor eating habits, depression, mortality. When you have all those things, that's what we're creating an enemy. We're creating an opponent for you to go up against every single day. So, because you're going to have some days where you don't feel like marketing yourself, where you don't feel like offering your services, where you don't feel like reading and studying another diet and nutrition book and learning a new concept that could possibly help someone. And in those days, it's got to be bigger than just you. It's got to be more than what you get out of it from servicing your clients. It's got to be bigger. So if you're fighting those opponents of obesity, heart disease, stroke, diabetes, mental health, poor eating habits, depression. If you're fighting those enemies every day, that gets you up and gets you going, even when you don't feel like it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Great. So the conversation that you're having with yourself when you get up in the morning is, I'll be damned if another person's going to contract diabetes on my watch. I'll be doggone if another person ends up being morbidly obese because they fell down that path and they made a series of bad choices day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, because nobody ever interrupted that pattern. I'm going to interrupt some patterns today. I'm going to challenge some people today. I'm going to wake somebody up to their life today, to their greater possibility today. We all understand that losing weight is one of the most difficult things that any human being can do. So, Javari, if that's something that you're serious about, having an impact on people's fitness and health and well-being, then you got to take your game to that level where you can meet that challenge, right? So you have to make sure that not one day goes by when you're not studying and learning more technique when it comes to fitness, including obviously you're working out every day, diet plans and nutrition, understanding food in the body, how everybody's body's different, how they internalize the food that they're eating. There are some countries where they have high fat, butter, rich, high cholesterol diet, but they have better health than we do because of the way they view food and their attitude towards food. You see, if you have the right attitude toward a buttered croissant and you have that every day, but you have the right energy and thinking behind it, it doesn't affect your body the same way as someone who stuffs those same croissants down their face in another country because of the culture that's behind it. And that's fascinating to me. So you can eat food, but it's your attitude about the food that you're eating a lot of times that will affect your health. Now, I'm not suggesting that means you can go out and eat a bunch of high fructose corn syrup and eat all the Snickers bars and M&Ms that you want and have a good attitude about it and you're going to be okay. I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying that there are cultures, it's been clearly demonstrated, that have a specific diet that many people would consider not the best, but they have higher mortality rates, they have better health and less obesity because of the attitude behind it. In some cultures, food is about love and family and connection. So there's a lot of positive energy that goes behind it. Whereas in America, people stuff their face because they got a quick break. They're going in the fast food lines. They don't even know what they're putting in their bodies. They're shoving it down and getting back to work. And so there's a difference, okay? But Javari, you have some things now that you're looking at that will allow you to continue to keep your feet to the fire so that the vision quest that's before you, you're always doing things to better yourself in that space. And because of the work, you know, you're because of what you do in business, what you do in fitness, there's a direct link to what you do in your business. I know that in your business, you're helping people, you're studying and preparing so you can help people protect their downside. Well, part of that is understanding health and better choices for longevity. So there's connectivity to what you do. So if you really hunker down and raise your game in your fitness and your nutrition and your diet, it will have a positive effect in what you want to do in your business as well. You can connect those two. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
Excellent. Excellent. So I want to hop to somebody else. Thanks, Javari, for
No
allowing us
problem.
to do some hot seat coaching with you.
Thank you very much.
Kimberly Whitman, coaching 100 women. Talk to me.
Hello, greetings.
Greetings. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you, Jamila, for sharing this call with me because I need to be here.
So glad to have you.
Thank you. So, yes, so I am coaching, essentially life coaching.
Okay.
I have a community called I Am the Whole Woman. And so I have women joining that community. And I have a coaching course called High Performance Tools, which I think I'm going to just do a self-study.
Okay.
And I want to relaunch my signature offer, which I think I figured out my framework called Arise, which is the A is for awareness, recalibration, integration, self-correction, and execution.
Okay, great. And you're specifically focusing on women, obviously, yes?
Yes.
And this community that you're building, it's an online community?
Yes, that's the start of it, but the goal is to be able to take it from online and move it to some offline work where once I launch a nonprofit aspect, the women within that community will serve as mentors to younger women within, where I live and where they live.
And so, obviously personal development it's a pretty broad topic. How do you do it with in terms of the group dynamic? How does that work?
So what I do is we have our group call once a month. And so I just, based off research and my own experiences, I put together maybe 5 or 6 slides. And we have a reflection question with each slide to make it more conversational.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really about women coming together and sharing their own personal experiences, and so that we can help each other turn our obstacles into stepping stones so that we don't keep getting tripped up by the ups and downs of womanhood, and we can help each other grow together into wholeness. Because when everybody experiences a sense of wholeness, then that's when the world can facilitate some type of oneness. So that's the premise of it.
And in terms of what you do, is this the full-time endeavor, or do you have other things that you're involved in?
I have a job, but essentially this is where all of my energy and effort and attention and intention goes.
Okay, great. And are there any specific instances that come to mind for you that stand out as you embodying the message that you are committed to communicating to your clientele? Like, what are some things that you say, hey, Ed, if you watch me like throughout the day when I do this or how I move like this, this is how I embody my message. Are there any examples that come to mind?
I would say my attention, the attention that I pay to myself,
Okay.
and watching my thoughts and watching my language. I treat the people around me well, so I'm intentional about, who I speak to on a day-to-day basis, making sure my relationships are intact.
Mm-hmm.
The place where I'm really falling short is financially, but I'm working on that.
Okay, that's fair.
But I'm also, I read, and the thing is, this framework, the Arise framework, is actually how I have to live my life, because I am diagnosed with a mental disorder. I have bipolar. So this is actually a sequence that I have to go through on sometimes a minute to minute, hour to hour basis.
Okay.
So I it's literally my life.
Your job requires what? Is it a straight 40? Do you do 50 hours a week? What's the dynamic?
It's 40 hours, but I do IT, so I work from home, and I have a very, very flexible schedule. So I spend most of my day on my business.
Okay, great. And do you have any other responsibilities outside of your job and yourself and building your business?
I have a child and a home.
And a home, you said?
Yes,
A
that's
home
a heck
and
of
a
a
child.
responsibility.
How old is your
Yep.
child?
He's 7, about to be 8.
Okay, same age as my boy. All right, great. So, are there any other routines that you engage in on a daily basis that you feel is a good embodiment of what you want to communicate to your clients?
Mm, it's a challenge for me sometimes because a lot of the work that I do and talk about is intangible. It's not like something I could say I put my hands on and do, but it's a sense of being, a state of being, right? And so if you ask me that, I can't think of any like other incident
Okay, fair
other than
enough.
just my being.
What part of the world do you live in?
Maryland.
Okay, so is it cold there? Is there snow on the ground?
No, thank God it's not no snow on the ground, but it is pretty chilly, but it's supposed to be like 75 degrees in the middle of this week. So
Yeah, of course.
yeah.
Tell me about your fitness.
So that is an area of focus. I have definitely in the last few months picked it up, been working out like at least 3 to 5 times a week. So I work that out. I drink my green juices and stuff.
Uh-huh.
I'm working on my eating habits, just trying to mostly eat cleaner and lighter.
Yes.
So that's where I'm at with that. So my goal is to lose some weight, but ultimately I know that that's not a sustainable reason to go. So I'm doing it for more health purposes to make sure that, my heart is healthy, my joints work, stuff like that.
And regarding bipolar, what does that mean for those that may not be familiar? Like what does that mean? Like, do you have to take medication? Do you have to process things different? Do you process things differently? Help me understand that.
So it is a mood disorder where you experience very low lows and mid-level highs, right? So it's called hypomania.
Okay.
When you think of it, you could think of maybe Kanye West would come to mind, but that's he has a different type of bipolar where he has mania.
Yeah.
So mine's kind of in the middle. And so what it does is it causes me to essentially feel everything very deeply.
Mm.
And I'm a very emotional person,
Mhm.
and I sometimes get so wrapped up in my mind because it makes your brain race.
Yeah.
And so it causes a spiral of just downward thinking. So yes, I take medication and it's accompanied with a little splash of anxiety. So
Got it.
yes, I have a good little cocktail to remedy that.
But you said there's also high highs too, correct?
So they're not very high. They are medium high. So those
Mhm.
highs would look more like excessively spending money or being promiscuous, or even something simple like extreme agitation
Okay.
can be a sign of hypomania.
Yeah, you're basically describing the 20-something population.
Listen,
out
they
here
all
out
need
here
some
dating.
therapy out here.
So, there's so much opportunity. Now, I'm not sure if you're doing this or not, because a lot of the things that you're describing that come in the bipolar package, if you will, are the range of emotions that I encounter pretty much with 95% of the clients that I have. 18 to 80, bald, crippled, or crazy, I got them all. And they all experience those things, and myself included. I've had low lows. I've had what you call medium highs, compulsive spending, emotional eating, promiscuity, like that. These things that you're talking about, Kimberly, are incredibly relatable. It just has a name to it. Most people would just call it life. like
Mm-hmm.
like people are dealing with these things, and so there's a lot we can work with just on this one note here. which I'll come back to. So here's what I want you to consider, okay? In my experience, people are not very disciplined and they're easily distracted. And the idea of training them in terms of cultivating the importance of what you refer to as self-attention, thoughts, and language, that's a very specific process that they have to go through. And I have, over the years, really looked for ways to shortcut that process, because I don't believe it should take months and months and months for someone to start engaging themselves at a higher level. I try to find the hack, if you will, in that process. And so I use physicality, because I find that when you put people in physical situations, more of their mindset and their emotional space is revealed. And when you exhaust someone physically, a lot of the stuff that they come in with, their guard falls down, and because they're so physically tired that they can't put up the wall anymore, and you get some really good revelation and in that capacity as well. And so this is just my personal thing. I'm not saying this is what you have to do. I just wanted to share it with you. When one of the things that I do, usually I do it at the halfway point if I'm doing a full day training, is I get all of my clients in a plank position. Very simple, right? So everybody knows what a plank is. It's when your arms and your elbows are on the ground and you're up, right? The rest of your body's up. So you got your forearm to your wrist, and then your tippy toes are touching the ground, but everything else is not touching, okay? So you look like a plank. And it's very good for your core, but it's also very good for your tendons. It does a lot, it does wonders for your tendons. And I challenge them to hold that plank for at least 4 minutes, just a minimum of 4 minutes, and then we can go longer than that. And what happens is I watch them as they start to quiver and shake. And what I challenge them to think about, Kimberly, is a specific goal that's very important to them. And I want to know how bad they want that goal. And if they're going to punk out because they're a little uncomfortable, because they're feeling some type of way, because their body is in an uncomfortable position, well, like you can't maintain a 4 minute plank. How the hell are you going to start a business? Like, what are you talking about? So that's just my come from, because I know it's something that they're experiencing, and it rewires their brain in real time. Now, the reason I'm giving you that example is because you're wanting to continue to pour into women as a personal development coach, and obviously everything starts first with you. You have to be able to lead yourself, and you have to be able to live your life in such a way of accountability that if people were looking at you live your life and there was a camera on you, they would draw inspiration, even from the imperfection, even from the mistakes, even from the mishaps and the setbacks and the falls and getting back up. They would get so much instruction from how you're living your life. And so there are a couple of things that I would encourage you to look at. One of them is, do you utilize social media to promote what you do?
Yep, that's pretty much where all of my traction really comes from, and then word of mouth. And it's, I appreciate what you're saying about my circumstances, because that is exactly the feedback that I get from my community. The people who engage with me on social media is how relatable and vulnerable and transparent I am, but from a space of victory instead of victimhood.
Yes, yeah, because you got a story, and the way that you're living right now as a mother, a homeowner, full-time employee, and you have some obstacles that you have to turn into opportunities every day, and that's so relatable to most of the population. So with thoughts and language and self-attention, tell me about your home. If I were to come into your home right now and you wouldn't say a word to me, would I be able to walk through your home and know what you do?
No. And that is something that I intend and know that I need to change. Like, I should have, not should, but I would like to have, inspirational words and pictures and images and stuff around my house that
Great.
really lends to that. So no, that is
Okay,
something
great.
I definitely need to work on.
But check it out, because I've done the same thing, Kimberly. Sometimes we coach stuff that we don't do. And because we know that it works, and maybe you did it years ago, you just haven't done it in a while, right? I don't know. But sometimes we coach stuff that we don't do. And that makes us fraudulent.
Mm-hmm.
It's coaching malpractice. Because if you're focusing on self-attention, thoughts, and language, then anybody that comes to you as a potential client should be able to walk in your home and learn and get some takeaways without you having to say a word. So that's the first thing you have to address immediately. Now, the reason
Okay.
it's important, and this is for everybody, I want to ask you all a question. Okay, I want you to write the answer in the chat. What is the best-selling book of all time? What's the number? It's the number one selling book every year. It's the best-selling book of all time. What is it? Type it in the chat. Anyone else? Okay, great. Y'all got it. Y'all got it. Why is the Bible the number one best-selling book of all time? Well, because the Bible is made up of words and imagery through storytelling. It is one of the greatest compilations of storytelling, imagery, success principles, philosophies that you're going to find in one location. What do people do? They have what? Study. What do they call it? Bible study. They go to church on Sundays, and they have they call it the blueprint for salvation, and they study from a word, from a verse, and they'll preach on that verse for an hour, just so that people can digest it. It's the power, how powerful words are. Why is it that when you go to virtually any church, the church looks pretty good? There's stained glass windows. There's great care around the manicuring of the lawn. Could be in the worst neighborhood, but the church is pristine. The imagery that you encounter when you walk into that sacred space lets you know that you're in a sacred space. Well, I submit to you that when you understand the power of that type of ritual and routine, you then will empower yourself to do that in your own church, which is your home. Your home should be a sacred space. Your home should be a place where you are reinforcing the values and the principles that are important to you. Your home should be a place where you have affirmations and your vision quest and your outcomes and the conversation that you're having with yourself every single day. My son, he goes to the refrigerator, he goes to the accountability mirror upstairs, and he'll ask me, what does that mean? What does it mean, clarity equals power, Dad? Break that down for me. What does it mean, no excuses? What does it mean, 40% rule? What's the 40% rule? What does that mean? Oh, well, son, it means that most human beings barely reach 40% of their own capacity. So even when they think they're doing something, they're still about 60% short. And it's only when you reach the higher levels of that 80, 90 percentile that you'll understand. And so because my son sees that it's going into a subconscious every day, he can't get food, he can't brush his teeth, he can't get ready for bed, he can't get ready for school without seeing those words and then the images that we have up. So for you, Kimberly, the first order of business this week is to make sure that you carve out some time and start putting these things up, because it's not, they have these things, they call them dream boards. They say, well, put some things up on your dream board. I think it's a brilliant idea. My mentor, he's got 4 dream boards. One dream board has to do with legacy, the type of legacy he wants to leave. And on that dream board, he has Dr. Martin Luther King, he has Mahatma Gandhi, he has the Shah of Iran, because he's from Iran. He's got some other things in terms of legacy. Another vision board is business. And on that vision board, he's got great thinkers and innovators. He's got Steve Jobs, he's got Elon Musk, he's got himself as a successful entrepreneur, which he's more than that. He's a ginormous success. But he did these vision boards years ago. The other vision board has to do with his personal and life goals. So that's fitness, family, faith, finance. So he's got images on that vision board. And then the fourth one, I can't remember, but you all get the point. So creating not just a vision board, ladies and gentlemen, but a vision environment. A vision environment. See, I have a very good friend, and I've gone to his home many, many times. And when you walk into the home, when you first come in, you'll see his goal to your right on the walls while you're coming into the foyer. And then as you go up the steps, you will see passages as you're going up the steps of outcomes that he's focused on. You will see in his bathroom all over the mirror. You will see it in the kitchen downstairs. You will see it all over the office space that he has. And since I've known him now for 13 years, 14 years. Since I've known him, he's always done this. He's always had these really big specific goals. And even if he has to change the date, he keeps the goal the same until he hits it. And I'll never forget, one of the goals he had was he wanted to earn $5 million a year. And at the time, he had made the most money he had ever made in business, which was about 2.2 million. He was very excited. He's feeling very confident. And guess what? The next year, he made 1.7 million. The next year, he made just under 1.2 million. The year after that, he was down to 300,000. So his income was doing the moonwalk backwards, but he still had that goal of $5 million a year. He never changed the goal. He never negotiated with the goal. He just said, okay, the date may change, but the goal is going to stay the same. And eventually, guess what happened? He got to $5 million a year. Guess what happened? He kept raising the goal. He kept changing that environment. And so because of that, he got to $1 million. He actually had $1 million day. Went from $300,000 a year to $1 million a day in income. So I share that with you to say the environment that we create is so important. That's why so many people every single Sunday go to that environment, because they need to be around that energy. Well, you can create that to the best of your capacity in your own home with the images that you put up, the words that you're watching and looking at and repeating to yourself, which will feed into your thought process, which will allow you that self-attention. So now Kimberly, when she's posting or she's doing something on social media and she's doing it from her bathroom or from her kitchen, she's going to do it deliberately. So when people see in the background, they're going to see exactly what she's talking about. And they're going to look at that and say, man, I got to do that. Like, I love what you see what she's got up there. She says, relentless. Wow. Okay, I'm going to put that. I like that word. That's a good word. I'm going to put that up on my word. I like that one. Oh, yeah. You see that image? That's a powerful looking image right there. I love that. That's a beautiful home. I got to put a home on my refrigerator too. So now she's continuing to add value to her prospective clients, but she's doing it on a subconscious level. Does that make sense, Kimberly?
Oh my God. It makes total sense.
So-
Super. Yeah, that's gold. And I'm on it. I already actually started. I just wrote something on the dry erase board downstairs. So.
Okay, great. You know, there's such a, I mean, there's a whole meal in the bipolar dynamic. And you know, what I'm thinking about is like my conversation is, so I'll take it from a personal note. So in my family, there's mental illness. You know, I grew up with mental illness in my family. I grew up having to deal with the repercussions of the severity of that when it's not properly diagnosed, when it's not properly medicated. And so I look at bipolar and see when people hear that word, they have their own idea of what they think it is. They think they know what it is, and they may even think Kanye. Well, that's not really an accurate representation of what that word means. It's one tiny individual out of millions, right? So when you're talking about the symptoms, I would talk about who here's had some low lows, right? Who here's ever felt like, man, I don't know how the hell I'm gonna get through this day? Who here's ever felt like, like you just want to scream in 7 different languages all at the same time because you just can't take it no more? Your moods are sometimes you're a little bit up and sometimes you're way down. Who's ever been in that space? Well, everybody's gonna raise their hand. Ladies and gentlemen, that's called being bipolar. Welcome to the club, right? So I'm gonna use it as a teaching tool. I'm going to remove the stereotype and the quote unquote stigma, and I'm going to make it so relatable that you may have some people that are not even self-diagnosed. They may be bipolar too, but no one ever talked to them like that. No one ever broke it down in a common sense kind of way. So there's so much that you can do. I can't get into all of it now because we don't have time, but there's so much that you're going to be able to value that you're going to be able to bring because of that. And you're able to be that message that you're bringing because you're holding down a successful position, you're putting in the work, you're raising your kid, you're a responsible homeowner. Like that's gold. You got a lot of gold. So I would challenge you on the fitness piece. I would definitely encourage you to find some ways to incorporate some kind of fitness. It doesn't have to be CrossFit. I don't need you to do a 100-mile marathon, but there needs to be something, because if I were to sit down and tell people, hey, listen, I want you to just I want you to write down some thoughts and read them out loud every day, they're not going to do it. They might do it the first day, but they're not going to do it because they're not accustomed to making themselves a priority and really working on this. The reason most people don't work on this is because it's easy to do. It's also easy not to do. So I use fitness as a leveraging tool because I can measure that. You give somebody an assignment, say, I want you to go walk around the block 3 times, they can do that. And while they're walking, guess what happens? Their thoughts start, oh man, I was thinking about, I hadn't even thought about that. Okay, get on the bicycle, ride the bicycle 15 minutes. Something happens with people when they start exercising, they start thinking about different thoughts, they start moving in different directions, different energy comes into play. So then they're like, oh man, I was on the bike, I was riding because my coach told me to get on the bike 15 minutes. And I had this idea for the book. I was like, yeah, I've been wanting to write a book, but I got that title. So I would just challenge you to start playing in that area a little more and holding yourself to a higher standard of accountability in terms of how you're showing up from a fitness standpoint. Because if people are coming to you for coaching, they need to look at every facet of your life. And it's hard, okay? I'm not saying it's easy, but this is what we have to do if people are coming to us as a thought leader, as a trainer, as a coach. People got to be able to walk into my life any day of the week and see how I'm moving and be inspired. Period. It's non-negotiable. So what it does for me is it creates this level of accountability where I can do things I never thought I could do because I'm like, man, I move like the camera's on me. I move as if you all can see what I'm doing when I'm not on the Zoom. That's how my brain works. Because I can't come to you as a speaker, a trainer, and a coach if you can't walk into my life at any point in time and then not see me putting in the work. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? Like you talked about some things you're working on, you're not there yet. Well, good, that's more relatable. But you have a specific goal, and when people see you moving towards that goal, you're going to be much more effective and impactful in what you're doing as a coach.
I appreciate that. I have one quick question for you.
Yes.
You said something that was super key, and it's my ability to tell stories. And that is where I think I need the most work as far as really being able to touch the women who are assigned for me to touch. Storytelling is not my strong suit. Do you have any suggested references or places I could go to read or whatever to learn how to be a better storyteller, or do I just do it and build the muscle and just keep doing it?
We can talk about storytelling. Have Jamila get us in touch, okay? And we'll talk about storytelling. That's the easy one. All right.
Will do. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
You're stuck with me now.
So listen, you all, I want you to write a couple things down. I was doing some studying, and these things really stood out to me regarding tonight's call. Number one, So there's three things that really direct our state and our results. Number one is what you focus on. Okay, that's number one. What you focus on. What you focus on the longest becomes the strongest. So if you're focusing on what you don't have, if you're focusing on what they did, how they did you wrong, if you're focusing on what you didn't have growing up, if you're focusing on how you were mistreated and abused, well, see, that's going to be the result of what you produce and create in your life, because you're giving your energy to that. So that focus is giving you feeling. Okay. So remember, I told a story when I had my first breakup. I spent the first 3 months of my first breakup listening to Luther Vandross. Like, I had Luther Vandross on repeat and singing it over and over again. Why? Because I was marinating in my misery. I was focusing on something that already happened. She'd been left me. Like, she was out of my life. She's out of my life, right? She was gone, right? That's 6th grade. That's my first heartbreak. So me reliving that thing over and over again, that's human nature. So be mindful of what you're focusing on, because where attention goes, focus flows. Second, most people focus on what they can't control. Most people focus on what they can't control. I picked up my son Blake from his grandmother's. I go into the house. What is she doing? What she always does. She's in front of the television watching the news. And she spends a huge amount of her time every day watching things she has absolutely no control over. And then she focuses, when the TV's not on anxious thoughts. Because anxiety happens when you're anticipating a negative outcome in your future. That's anxiety. Depression happens when you're focusing on your past and you're looking at how they did you wrong, what's wrong, why you didn't do this, how come I'm not further along in my life, blah, blah, blah. That's depression. Anxiety is anticipating a negative future. Depression is when you're stuck in your past. So I'm looking at my mom and I'm like, that's you. You, like most people, you focus on things you can't control. Third, most people focus on what? Their past. They live where? In their past. They move in such a way where they're living in a space and they keep repeating and recreating and wondering why they're stuck and they can't get ahead. So remember, right? The rearview mirror is here. It's like this. And the windshield is here. And most people spend all their time looking in the rearview mirror. If you're driving a car, spending all your time looking in the rearview mirror, what's going to happen? You're going to crash. You're going to keep crashing. You're going to keep crashing. Reason the rearview mirror is really, really small and the windshield's really, really big, because you're not supposed to spend a whole lot of time looking back. Most people spend too much time looking back. That's number 3. They focus on the past, or if they're futuring on negative outcomes for their future. And so that creates anxiety and it prevents them from moving forward. So they procrastinate. Procrastination is the assassination of hopes, dreams, and ambition. Why? Because people, they think of, what if it doesn't work? What if nobody buys? What if nobody believes in me? What if they call me a fraud? What if they tell me I'm not qualified? What if they hang up on me? So they're playing out all of these negative scenarios and their outcomes, and now they can justify their procrastination, which means they never get around to doing anything. So that's what most people do. So you have to be mindful that you're focusing on your future, on your thrilling and exciting and positive outcome future. You got to be living in that space. And there was one other thing too that I saw. Well, I'm not going to get into that today. So yeah, I just wanted to give you all that. We know that more than 50% of our behavior is habitual. So look at your habits. If you have some bad habits, address it. If you know that you're habitually late, if you know that you say something and you do something else, you don't follow through, you start, you don't finish, your word is like 50% reliable instead of 85, 90% or more reliable. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Like, keep your commitment to your commitment. Let your word be freaking law. Okay, it's hard to be 100%, but you can certainly get 90 plus. But that's your focus, right? Because the more you do what you say, the more what you say comes true. And you start to cultivate a new habit of being in alignment, doing what you say, having that higher vibration, which means what? You can start to attract more of what you're looking for into your space. But it starts with all the pieces that we've been talking about tonight, as we did a little hot seat coaching with Javari and Kimberly. So hopefully that will give each of you some added tools and fuel for what it is that you're doing, the things that you're pursuing, things that you want to create success in your life. Be careful of not getting, don't get stuck in the past. And whatever you're looking at and whatever you're focusing on, it's the meaning that you assign to it that matters, ladies and gentlemen. The meaning that you assign to it, that's what matters. Nobody can hurt you. Nobody can make you feel anything, any type of way. That's not on them, that's on you. If somebody betrays me, if somebody hurts me, if somebody lies to me, I look at it and say, what's the lesson here? What did I do to position myself to end up in that space in the first place? What was my vibrational level that I attracted such a person into my space? Like, how did that happen? How did I end up having being next to somebody for this long and not see that until it was too late? Like, where was my head? Where was my self-awareness? So taking responsibility, diagnosing the situation, extracting the lesson that I can learn from that, and then giving it my meaning. Okay, that was the meaning I was supposed to learn. You came into my life to give me that lesson. Thank you very much. Not, oh, you hurt me, you crushed my soul. I don't want to date nobody no more. I'm not going to go out for that promotion because they keep doing me wrong. You're probably in the wrong job. Go find a new job, right? I can't make the money I want to make. Well, go find a new vehicle. I've been trying to lose this weight for 5 years. Well, you ain't trying hard enough. Like, you obviously ain't trying hard enough. So having the ability and the courage to look at yourself in the mirror, that accountability mirror, take accountability for what you have done, what you haven't done, what you could do better, and start implementing these things as we go along. Because remember, as David Goggins says, we're barely scratching the surface of 40% of our capacity. We got another 60% that we haven't even come close to tapping into yet. And that's what gets me excited. That's what keeps me perpetually curious. Like, man, I want to get to like 45, 50%. And then if I get to 45, 50% of my capacity, I'm going to be ready to go to the next half, like get to that next level. I'm in the low 60s, right? Or mid to high 50s, low 60s. Now you're talking. So hopefully this added value to each and every one of you all. Thanks for hopping on. Have a great and awesome week. Let's keep making it do what it do. You can bring people onto this call as well. We'll see you same time, same station next week. Have a great day.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you so much, Ed. Have a great week.
Yeah.
Very welcome.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Ed.
Ed.
Great call
Thanks,
tonight,
really
man. Great
great.
call.
Thanks, Ed.
Got it.